I'm guessing this is going to be part 3. Now we're in contact with Napoleon Goncalves. Nappy is what they call him. So we didn't know at the time, but he had just finished an IA investigation into the now chief of police in Pawtucket. At the time, she was a major. And so from the people that I won't get into her abuse of power, but let's just say that she has used the Pawtucket Police Department to bully and retaliate against a tenant of hers from a property that she owns in Pawtucket. I mean, that case alone, that abuse right there should be pretty telling to anybody. This woman there was a warrant that Tina had them go get to arrest this woman and to put her in jail. And they did so over a door and a carbon monoxide detector. Never, ever would you ever see such a thing. This would be a civil matter, but Tina Goncalves used resources taken from the people in the city of Pawtucket, resources to go do this retaliation. And again, retaliation, bullying, just disgusting, So this woman spent the night away from her child, and she was locked up in a jail cell in the city of Pawtucket until the next day. And this was all over, again, a door and a carbon monoxide detector. And the door was, I guess, found in the basement, and the carbon monoxide detector didn't work. So anyway, but this is just so you know, this is where we're starting to call people out. So Nappy Goncalves had just finished an IA investigation into this. Now, there was a previous APRA request for any IA investigations against the chief of police, and Frank Milos said there were none. Funny that the day before Nappy got involved with my son's case, he had just finished investigating Tina Goncalves, who is now the chief of police. She had a few things, but we're gonna get to her. Don't you worry about it, Tina. We're getting to you. So we're now in communication with Nappy Goncalves, and we have quite a few phone calls that we have taped and that have been provided from the Pawtucket Police Department, from Frank Milos' office, as it relates to our conversations with Nappy Goncalves. So we start talking to Nappy, and Nappy explains that on this vital record, right? Like this is a vital record. The reason for the 2 dates is because my son thought about dying the day before. So I guess now, we're up to brain cell number 5. Can't put them all together and actually come up with, someone with even a half a brain at this point. But this was his explanation, that our son thought about dying the day before. So in some way, somebody spoke with our son, or maybe Nappy did. Nappy, did you talk to my son? So the stupidity was off the charts. totally off the charts. So we're getting nowhere with Nappy. I don't even know how half these people got the positions that they have, but hey, let's carry on. Let's carry on. So Nappy is, so in order to get the death certificate amended, the medical examiner's office told us that we needed to prove that our son was alive on the 31st. It doesn't happen often that a death certificate needs to be amended. And this part of it is pretty interesting because the Pawtucket Police Department still has the original proven. They have the original. They don't have the amended copy in the file. And Turtle Boy Sports, Kate Peter, ended up with the original. And that's going to play a very important role as we move forward. So we're back and forth with Nappy, and, Nappy says on the thing, if I was looking at this and this was my family member, would I be happy? No, I wouldn't. We failed you. We failed your family, and we failed you as a department, blah, blah, blah. It was all just, let's say these things, and we're still going to do nothing. We're still going to do nothing, but we're going to sit in an office, probably with air conditioning, and just sit on our ass and just, let's do nothing. So in the conversations with Nappy, my husband has this conversation with Nappy. The next day, he's talking to Nappy again. And he said, remember yesterday when we spoke? You told me, how great Rafael Perez is. And this was one of the biggest failures. Nappy Goncalves was a big failure anyway, but this was one of the biggest failures because now you have IA, and they're supposed to be checking the stuff out, right? They're supposed to be checking it out and saying, well, what happened? What didn't happen? So Nappy, in all his wisdom, thought that it would be a good idea to tell us that they didn't call major crimes because they have budget issues, money issues. But had our son passed away during the week, be no problem. But calling them in, and I know that that's probably what I'm going to say. What's his name? Richard LaForest. I'm sure it wasn't, hey, we should have been there to help you. No, it was, hey, how come I didn't get any overtime for this? Why weren't we called in for this overtime? So Nappy gives every excuse in the book. So Michael calls the medical examiner's office and he says, how was my son identified? And they said, by the phone call that Perez made that morning, in the statement that Perez made to the medical examiner's office, telling them that my mother identified him. Now, in case you're not paying attention, we are we are now in August. My son died in May. And now things are really starting to look crazy. They look absolutely crazy, right? So there's, a few more conversations with Nappy. Nappy demands respect. He doesn't want my husband to use foul language. He's going to teach my husband how to speak. I guess he's going to teach him how to speak. So this was August. During this, we find out that the medical examiner's office had not received a police report until the end of July. A police report. They had been working hard on it. They were trying to figure out what the hell to do with it and everything. And I guess they just thought that we were just going to go away, right? So now they receive a police report. And Nappy's telling my husband, no, you don't have to go down there with the phone. We fill out the reports. We'll send a report over with the date, with an accurate date. And this is where the inaccurate timing comes in. And hey, Mark DeSisto, yeah, Katie, Katie Hilton from your office. Yeah, that effing bitch. She has the wrong information. You might want to let her know she has the wrong information, and it originates from this. She put dates and times and things. Yeah, it's wrong. Mark DeSisto, you listening? Listen up. Katie Hilton put the wrong dates because the police report is still inaccurate, because they just made up times to fall into the next day to get the death certificate changed. And these are official documents. These are official documents. So, so Nappy's dealing with this in August. And I believe that's when Braga writes another police report or another narrative. And this is where all of a sudden the postmortem changes. And the doctor now revises the postmortem. So we're dealing with Nappy. And mind you, in case anybody doesn't know who Nappy Goncalves is, his son murdered Zachary Marshall in 2010. And here we are, 4 years later, he's going to teach my husband respect. He should have probably taught his son respect for life, for human life. And that's just a side thing. Nappy wants to teach my grown-ass husband respect by not using foul language. Nappy should have used his opportunities with his son to teach him how to conduct himself. So, I've had recent conversations with Nappy. He's a big boo-hoo, I wasn't liked in the department. And, he does a lot of that kind of crap. And there's a lot that goes on with Nappy Goncalves. And, obviously I'm watching the Zachary Marshall, the Jason Lopes murder case, where he murdered. And that's what he's being charged with. I'm not telling anything out of school. He is being charged with the murder of Zachary Marshall. So that's what he's being charged with. So let's go with that. So here we are with Nappy. He's going to finish his investigation, and he's going to let us know what the outcome is. He's going to let us know. During that, he says that the identification of our son was problematic. Nobody remembers how it happened. Well, go check with Perez. Because Perez is going around telling everybody that my mother identified my son. That never happened. That never happened. And in case anybody's listening, here we're at. We're at this stepping stone of medical examiner's office examining a body, drawing blood on a body, labeling that body with someone's name, all because of a lie told by Perez. There was no positive identification of my son. Now, did it end up to be my son? Yes, it did. It did end up to be my son. But do you see the problem here? Because when we told the medical examiner, Carol Roby, that our son was not positively identified with the police, and that Rafael Perez lied to them by stating that a family member, my mother, identified him, she said to my husband, please tell me that you saw him and he wasn't just taken to be cremated. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?